Hello, everyone. This is Daily. You know me at Healing Heart Reiki, and I wanted to come on today for this really cool interview that I'm doing with Ingrid. Ingrid Hilgert is a Reiki master. She's a creative being, an artist, and she has been, as you guys know her. I mean, most of you know her. Um, she's been creating such a beautiful, beautiful kind of evolving business called Stargazer Reiki, which includes not only Reiki hands-on sessions, but she also does art and creates these beautiful Reiki art pieces. So I thought I'd have Ingrid on today to just share with us. I just want to pick her brain and get into her head about what it was like doing her first art show. And I thought you guys would enjoy being here with me for that. So welcome, Ingrid.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. Oh my gosh. So I was the fortunate person to be able to go. I was able to go and actually see your show, and it was so beautiful. I don't know how much you know about my art background, Ingrid, but I grew up in a family of artists. I've been doing art. My stepfather is a master journeyman artist that does like poured bronze sculptures, and there's like a lot of hardcore art in my life. And I went to school for art and art history, and actually was an art registrar for a large gallery with like multiple locations nationally, and a large international clientele. So art is like another way that I breathe. And I was so excited when I came to your show because honestly, it takes me a lot to be impressed. I'm so judgmental and critical in my art world, like the artist brain. But it was so great to just like walk up, and you had such a lovely place set up with the your pots like beautifully displayed, and I just loved the energy and the work of what you were creating, and I loved how you set it up. So can you just share about your inspiration for the show and like kind of how you laid it out and what it was like?
Well, really, the inspiration for the show was your Healers in Business. Yes.
Ah.
When one of the modules was kind of thinking of an event, it's like, okay, like how are you going to like get out there? What's your plan? Like, where is it going to be? How much is it going to cost? Da, 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 da,
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, Reiki and Art show. Like, it was just
Yeah.
so quick, and I just felt like that's what it had to be. Like, there was no question about it.
Mm.
And when I became part of the Spirit Sisters, and Melissa, also here, hosted a Reiki share before the Spirit Sisters Circle. And it was at Fifth Dimension Studio in Sebastopol where we held the show. And I'm like doing Reiki and I'm looking around. I'm like, there's nails in the wall over here.
Ah.
And I'm like looking for things where it's like, is this not the place? So I couldn't find one. And I
Mm.
was like, how much is it? It was very affordable. I'm like, this is the place. This is supposed to happen. Like, kept messaging my partner Raphael saying, I found our art show spot. You
Yeah.
don't even have to see it, but you should see it, but you don't have to. This is the spot. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And pretty much just reached out and tried to connect with the owner, and did. Gina, beautiful, beautiful soul. And yeah, it just kind of rolled from there. It was just super easy. And I believe that with these types of things, when the idea comes so easy and the opportunity is so easy, and then the footwork to make it happen is so easy, like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's the universe
Yeah.
validating what you're doing. So yeah, it was really just fantastic just seeing that all click. And I'm a planner, and I love like home design. I love planning where things are going to go. Like, I just am like this all the time, and I'm always trying to make it better. So as far as the actual setup, that just kind of came naturally. I'm like, oh, well, this and this makes sense. Like, that's just my personality. Um, but yeah, I really wanted to invoke a vibe that really encompassed my partner Raphael and myself, which honestly is pretty easy with what we both do.
Yeah.
And it just worked perfectly. It just like he had his space, I had my space, and we were both able to shine while complement each other.
Yeah.
So the placement and everything just kind of came naturally. And yeah, it was just a really good energy and experience. And I Reiki'd the studio with my pots before we
Mm,
started.
hmm.
And it just felt good. It just felt so exciting because it was my first event ever. And just really really validating to really see both of us represented ourselves through our identity to the community. um yeah, it just worked out.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like there are some, like a lot of really specific things that you said there that I think are really powerful. Like, and I mentioned this too, even from a business standpoint. Like, by the time I arrived, I saw sold out signs on specific pieces of art. There were literally like your pots that you sold were just flying off. Like, I saw a pot that I wanted and I was like, ooh, I think I'm gonna get that, but I don't want to spend anything today. Saving for you, we already talked about I'm saving
Yeah,
for something really big, right? So
yeah,
then like I was like, oh, but I just might have to get that. And by the time I came back, like I just did a round around the room and was back and it was gone. And two
yeah,
other pieces were gone. And I was like, oh, yeah, Ingrid's
yeah.
doing it, right? So I think like from just a like a healers and business standpoint, and there were a lot of people in this group and in some of our other groups like the Reiki Business Magic group that are really just trying to figure out how to like do what they love and see some kind of forward momentum with that, and being able to live it as a livelihood. And those steps are like one at a time, right? So you were successful. Do you feel like you were successful with regards to the show?
Incredibly, way more successful than I would have expected. If it was less successful than it was, I still would have been saying that it was successful.
Yeah.
I was kind of in awe of that because I was like, let's see who ends up showing up. Let's see what works, because I tried everything a little bit. Like I did like the cheaper option for the Press Democrat online. I posted in the local Chamber of Commerce. We posted flyers around Sebastopol and the businesses and just on whatever, and then social media and texting. And I'm like, let's just
Yeah.
see like what works. Because
Yeah.
from moment one, from event one, I'm like, I don't know what's going to work for me.
Yeah.
Like I can get as much advice as I want, but it depends on what aligns with what you're doing and your energy and where it is.
Mm.
Um, so I really just went like crazy with trying different things to
Yeah.
the point where it was almost a little overwhelming. But I feel like, yeah, it just, with the location especially that it was and the type of show that it was very easy for people to kind of just mosey in, which I
Yeah.
think was a big portion of it.
Mhm.
Advertising aside, it was people just walking by.
Really?
And yeah, everyone just had such a great response to
Yeah.
everything. There were a few people that did the whole experience. Like I gave them Reiki and they bought a pot and they bought a painting. And
Right.
like it was really cool to
Because by the
see.
time I came in, you'd been doing Reiki on like a people, and you're like, "Ooh, I'm finally have a moment where I'm not doing Reiki." Yeah.
That barely lasted, honestly. It was so
Right.
busy. Like we opened at 12 and I'm like, okay, now we wait because no one's gonna be there like right at it was 12 to 5.
Uh-huh.
And then, but yeah, 12:30 hit and it was just nonstop.
Yeah.
If I wasn't doing Reiki, I was selling a pot. If I wasn't selling a pot, I was doing Reiki,
Yeah.
which was honestly one of the challenges for me, honestly,
Yeah.
a little bit. But yeah, super successful, super good. So
So yeah, I feel like there are like things that just in what you said, I would highlight as being probably part of that reason too. Like I loved that you talked about how you just sort of had this epiphanous moment and everything seemed to flow with that. And I do feel like a lot of times in life, like we can just so easily complicate things, make things so much harder than simply
yeah.
trusting an idea and being like, well, what if we do? you know? So I love that, like that trusting of intuition. And I noticed you also just talked about like all of these ways that you tried to get the message out there. But what really struck me about that is you got the message out there. Like for art shows across, oh, my son must be home. I hear him. I'm like, ah. For art shows across the board, like it's so important to actually reach an audience and then ideally your audience, like the people that would resonate with the price point and the creative work, right? And it sounds like the places that you chose to advertise, from the Bohemian to, socials, you really act, those were, whether they were just intuitively done, it just seems like they were very aligned with the type of people that you wanted to bring in, and like the timing of that just seems really powerful.
Yeah, it really did just seem to go together. And I feel like because everything, just the location to the theme to just the community of Sebastopol is very pro art and healing,
Yeah.
and we really lucked out with having such a beautiful space in Sebastopol.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like, yeah, just the energy around there kind of matches the energy of what.
What you're doing. Yeah, I think you're right. Like Sebastopol is like that, and part of, like, it's, I think we can do our work, but like when we really want to reach people, we've got to figure out like where our people are at, and those are always the best places. And so there were just a lot of intuitive things that were lovely about it. Now, can you share, like with a bit of the time we have left, about like what were some of the things you planned? Like I noticed that there was a list for people to write down if they wanted more info. Was there anything else that you kind of had to set up? Oh, and the display table, which was geniusly done. But is there anything like, yeah, can you just talk about your planning process and kind of things that you were like, I need to do this for my first show?
I mean, because I've never done a show or vending or anything like that prior, it was really all from scratch.
Mhm.
So everything needed to be planned, from like, how am I going to, like, add some height and layers for my pots? How are we going to plan the layout of the paintings? Where exactly is my Reiki table going to go? Does it matter that my Reiki table isn't too private? Um, like everything that we bought, like, a table for the snack table, like got
Right.
that the night before so that, it's a real artsy art show. And
Yeah,
um, like from the flyer to when
I
to
saw
post
you.
the Facebook event to, talking about it and then pushing people to share it and the things that needed to be bought. And like everything was planning, but I love doing that, even if it drives
Yeah.
me a little crazy. Like I get really into that. My
Right.
partner
That's
is
part of your
not that
genius
into.
zone. You didn't do something that you were just like, I can't do this. Like it was
Yeah,
part of your genius zone to be able to just like, okay, we're gonna make this happen.
yeah, I'm like, okay, this and this, and like Google this, do I need this? Yes, okay, no I don't. Okay, like it was just kind of constant planning. The only thing I didn't really plan was the transportation of all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And that went fine, but it could have gone a lot better,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
It was a little chaotic because I just threw things in random bags that we needed and put it in my car. And like, yeah, unloading and packing up was a little difficult. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just planning everything. But, for the future shows, a lot less planning will be needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I used to do farmers markets a lot, and I remember those first farmers markets, I didn't know what the heck, and it took me hours to pack things up properly, and I was late, and then over time you kind of go, oh, this is what needs to happen, and you have
Yeah.
your little checklist, and everything fits. And so you're, as an artist, I really loved your pots, that like just colorful, kind of psychedelic, or like inspired. They felt spiritually inspired. Definitely felt the energy in all of it, and like I loved that you talked about how you Reiki'd the space before you set up. That is something that I like think is so important, and it does make that difference, and it just magnetizes everything. But yeah, so like there's a lot of energy that goes into your art creations themselves, and Raphael, like amazing artist as well, like beautiful complementary works, so different from each other, but like
Yes.
so inside of the theme and the energy of Stargaze, which was genius, right?
Thank
To
you.
have a theme, to have that kind of, it felt very cohesive, not just like, I'm gonna have a show, here's 12 different pieces, okay, but like it felt very cohesive. So did like you, it was successful. You got some people on your list now that are interested in more. When you got home, how did you ground that? And what's your next step as an artist and a creative and a Reiki healer? What's your next step from there?
Well, as far as how did I ground?
She's like, I didn't. No.
we were just so happy and excited, and our friends were too. Like, I'm not gonna, like, this kind of goes against what a lot of people think, but we went and got a drink, like,
Yeah.
and celebrated, um and just really, it really felt so good to like even surprise some people. Not that people thought we weren't capable enough, but they didn't know what to expect. And they were like, wow, that was extremely legitimate. Like, okay. Um,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like we kind of just embraced the high of it, honestly. But I think, it was just such a big deal for us and such a beautiful moment. And like, honestly, one of my favorite moments was leaving the show. There's a hat store,
Yeah.
like a couple stores down, and he came out and was just like, thank you for doing that. Thank you for keeping me open today. We need more events like this to support the little shops like mine for people to end up wandering in here. And like that just, that killed me. I was just like, oh my
Yes.
God, this actually like affected like someone else in the community too. Like
Oh,
that just made me so happy and honored to do it.
love that. I'm
The
like
fact,
melting inside.
yeah, it's like I was
Love
so
it.
happy for like our own success, but the fact that our success like trickled to something else, just
Yeah.
I like, talk about like not grounded. I was just like, now I'm like, woo, oh my God, this is so great.
I and I think it speaks to your marketing, like the fact that you really like put it out there enough that there were people coming through that just don't usually come there, you know?
Yeah, it was really amazing. It was really amazing. Um, and yeah, from here, it's really about like just keeping the ball rolling and continuing to grow with it. And recently I've really come to terms with that, because for a while I'm just like, I love Reiki so much. Reiki is my passion. This is what I want to do. Da, da, da. But like everyone's always mentioning the pots.
Yeah.
And for a
They're
minute that
cool.
annoyed for a minute that annoyed me, because I'm like, but like Reiki, this is like I'm more than just some plant pots, but I'm like, but that's also a part of me. And everyone and everything and certain opportunities like are throwing in my face, like, you need to also do that. And recently, like, I've really come to terms with that. I really want to split that 50-50 and explore both, because I do believe it really contributes to my uniqueness
Yeah.
as a person. And I really love both, and I can have both. You can have anything you want if you really equally have the drive for both. And I think that incorporating both actually really makes the the Reiki portion more approachable to people that might not be thinking about it, you
Yeah.
know, and just make people happy. Like you said, like they're very colorful, fun pots.
They
And
are.
I love things for the home, like home goods. Like I'm a home goods junkie, like I'm all
Yeah.
about that. And it feels good to like have people have something that I made that came from a happy place, or a just good energy place, an
Yeah.
artistic and creative place, and an expressive place, like, and people want that in their home.
And
And I
we need
feel,
art. We need art.
yeah,
It's healing.
it is, and I feel like really both do go together, and both are the core of who I am and what I want to provide to the world. So I'm really excited to really have I don't want to say new mindset, but like I accept that now with no hesitation, and I'm ready to just like dive in, and I'm really excited for that. So, we look forward to future shows. Like our next one's in August, and then we're planning to do every other month from there. So
Wow.
that'll give us both opportunities to meet more people, like more opportunities to be a part of the community, more opportunities for me to embrace my art and like see, where am I going to grow with that?
Yeah.
Oh, and what else am I gonna make? And
Yep.
how is that gonna make people feel? And will that change the people that show up? And like
Yeah.
it's all just such a beautiful growing journey
Yeah.
now that I'm just like ready for it, ready to just like run in the direction.
I
So
love it. That's so
excited.
exciting.
Yeah.
So much for sharing. And this interview, like for everybody who listens or ends up watching this was inspired by, we were talking before we went live, and I was just saying, like, yeah, like we need to celebrate more just the wins and the positive experiences that we have when we're making our creations and we're evolving these creations. And gosh, I hear so many different stories, but we don't always get to share all of those stories. So I hope that everybody listening gets a little bit inspired. This is going to go out to healers in business first, and then also to our Reiki Business Magic group, and probably on YouTube as well. So anybody who's enjoying this, please definitely respond and let us know what you think. And if you want to hear more from Ingrid and about Ingrid, where can people find you? Do you have a website that you want to share, or what is the
Yeah.
best way to reach out to you?
So stargazerreiki.com is my website. And then I also have Instagram, stargazer_Reiki. I'm Ingrid Noel on Facebook and Stargazer Reiki on Facebook. And if you're interested in coming to my next show or future shows, I did create an Instagram for that. So that's just Stargaze Art Show, all one word. Haven't posted much there yet, but I will be posting the dates and all the things in the future with that. So excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.